Listen, congrats on the movie. I really enjoyed it. I like murder mystery, whodunit type movies.
Brilliant. That's good. That's a good start.
Exactly. So I definitely want to know. You've obviously worked with Tom before.
Yeah.
And so was he any different making the movie? Did he feel like he, you know what I mean, working on like a bigger canvas, or was he the same guy from this country?
Do you know what? I was expecting him to be a bit more sort of, yeah, like arrogant and egotistical, but actually he was the same humble self, which was really nice. But no, because we've done 3 series together and loved the way he works. And he just, yeah, it was the same. The way he worked with the actors was exactly the same, despite it being such a much bigger production, being a, Hollywood film.
What do you think soon-to-be fans of the film would be like surprised to learn about the making of the film?
Well, I mean, we shot it during the pandemic, which was sort of really, really strange. I mean, but it meant that we were able to film in a lot of these famous theaters and places that we would never had the opportunity before. So places like the Old Vic and the Dominion Theatre, which is like, the key places in London's West End and Savoy Hotel. So because they were all shut down during 3 months, we were, able to film this. So it was making the best out of a bad situation. And otherwise, it would have just been all in sort of studios and on sets, and so that was really, really nice.
Yeah, when I was watching the film, I couldn't believe some of the locations you guys were using, and then I read about, during COVID, and I'm like, you got
Yeah,
so much production value out of, because of COVID.
completely. Yeah, which is really, really great. And it's, these are real sort of historical places that you just wouldn't have been able to get access to before.
You got to work with this great cast, and I know
Yeah.
it's a little generic, but like talk a little bit about working with some of these people, because the whole film is just littered with like a murderer's row of talent.
Well, exactly. And you know what? The fact it's a murder mystery and you've got 2 detectives going on this journey trying to interview various people and find out who it is perfect for a great ensemble, because these, the next person that crops up is brilliant and someone from, your favorite films, and then the other person is someone, so it was a really eclectic mix as well. And you've got real sort of straightforward film actors, people like Saoirse, but in a comedy, which is so nice because her comedic timing is so good, and I don't think I've ever seen her in anything like this. So having a murder mystery was a perfect vehicle for that, which is really nice. And yeah, everyone was incredible as you expect, and to be able to have a scene with Adrien Brody and Sam Rockwell, people that I look up to so much, and seeing them do their thing in the flesh was just like, it was like a masterclass. And it was like being so conscious to try and live in the moment, but it was just sort of starstruck at the same time. So it was like, yeah, amazing.
You've obviously done your own stuff for a number of years, but what is it like when you have a big scene with like Hollywood stars like the night before? Are you like, a little bit more in your head the night before when you're trying to go to bed? Are you thinking about the scene more than you thought you would?
Completely. Yeah, totally. But because that's just the way, we put these film stars on pedestals now, and they are like our sort of modern version of gods, aren't they? They're just sort of, you can't help but feel anxious before you do something like that with them. But having met them, you just realize they're sort of nice, humble guys. So that was really, really nice.
Everyone works a little bit of a different way. Some
Yeah.
people like music before a take, and some people like quiet. I know Sam can be a little, I've spoken to Sam a number of times. I know he likes to work a certain way. Can you sort of talk about the way you like to work on set and how it compared or contrasted to some of your castmates?
Yeah. I mean, I sort of, I really like having that time to get into a character, and definitely listen to a lot of music before doing the scenes. And I mean, especially it was helpful for this being the sort of 1950s period. I mean, it's sort of because once you get the costume on, and you can really get lost in that world, which is lovely. But again, watching how other actors do it and get into character was really interesting. People like Adrien Brody can just sort of switch it on straight away. I mean, that's why he's such an incredible actor. And then Sam Rockwell, who's someone who sort of was in character sort of the whole time, even between scenes, and listens to a lot of music. And I think even one time he bought his lasso. He was really good at lassoing. Has he ever talked to you about that before?
He has not.
Well, I don't know if it's some sort of well-kept secret, but he's like Indiana Jones. He's sort of like was, during breaks, he was just lassoing chairs. It was the most surreal thing, but brilliant to watch.
I'm going to be honest and say I haven't seen This Country before, but
Yeah.
for people that have not seen it, how do you like to talk about it to people, to sort of mention to them the series?
Yeah, I mean, it's a mockumentary, and it just follows two cousins who are sort of they're sort of like a bit like sort of tearaways. They're a bit they don't work, and they live in this tiny village in a rural place in England, and it's just following their day-to-day lives and about sort of the boredoms that come with living in a rural area, and a bit it touches upon sort of rural poverty and stuff like that. And they get themselves into, they're constantly trying to find their own entertainment. And so it sort of sounds fairly basic, but it gave us a lot of opportunity to, and there's various different characters that come and go in that world, interesting characters. And actually there's the American version that's out at the moment called Welcome to Flatch, which I think they're doing a second series at the moment. So it's a sort of an idea that can translate well, sort of all over the world, really, because you've got those sort of characters wherever. If you grew up in a place that's rural, there's not a lot of opportunities, and you can't work, then what else are you going to do? You're going to get into trouble, which is sort of perfect for comedy, I suppose.
I'm so curious about what you learned, because obviously you made more than one season. What did you learn making the first season that you took with you when you made additional episodes?
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I think the fact that with stuff like Twitter and social media, you can get that instant feedback, can't you? If you type in the hashtag This Country, I can see what anyone has ever written about the show. So I think we did that a few times after the first series. And it was quite interesting what people picked up on, and I think we learned a lot about what people wanted to find out about the characters, which was really nice, and their backstories. And I think later on in the series, we're like, oh, perhaps we should, it was literally people asking, does the vicar have a wife, or does the vicar have children? And it was like, actually, I haven't thought about that. So we sort of used that in later series, and gave us great storylines, which was really nice.
What are you working on now? Are you writing anything?
Yeah, right. Yeah, there's a couple of projects, all really early days, so there's not really much to say. But no, I do love the writing aspect of it, and I think definitely being in this film inspired me to do something that was more thrilling, more dramatic, but combining those sort of comedy moments. I think it's such a great combination.
On that note, I'm just going to say congrats, and I hope this launches, more work for you, which is,
thank you.
The most important thing.
Amazing. Well, lovely to meet you. Thank you so much.
Cool. Have a fantastic afternoon. Thank you.